But Dom, as a heel at the beginning, way more subservient to Rhea. That was the whole thing. And I don't think creative was totally sure how ready he was for that role. We see what's happened now, and I think they've cultivated that. I think they've all helped him. And I think if you ask anybody, and I bring this up because I know Finn did an interview recently, and he's like, oh, it's weird because we were kind of there to help Dom where he has helped us. And I believe both of those things. I think that's completely true. That Dom, being the shit stir that he is, has rubbed off on the rest of them. And they played into that. But if you watch early on, watch some of those early promos when Dom's part of the group, the confidence is not completely there. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're asking him to play a completely different role. He had turned on his dad. He became part of Judgment Day. They were beating him. She was beating him up for a while. He was new. I think everybody would have said, Dom will wear the mask at some point and he'll just live on the Mysterio legacy. Kind of ran out of gas with that. And look what it turned into. Became one of the most over people in the company in his role. But it took time to get there. Those early promos, there's some trepidation. Now, the boos helped. Because then you know you're doing your job right. And guess what you don't have to do? When you're getting booed, you don't have to say anything. You can look flustered. You can tell people to shut up. You can soak them in. And watch Finn. Watch Rhea. Watch Priest. And some of those. There's some guiding there. Even if it's a nod or off camera, and that's fine. And look where it got them. So they did the right thing. But early on, even when people thought he was a member of the Judgment Day, we were getting notes from creative, don't say he's part of Judgment Day yet. Because they hadn't officially put him in. I don't even know if there was a time when they officially put him in. Everybody thought of him as part of the group, but there was that separation. And they didn't have him come into the studio that day. They had it be Finn, and they had it be Rhea, and they had it be Priest. And we had them all on before. I think they had all been in at least once before. But they kept Dom separate because they wanted to guide him into that role and what it would be. And I thought of that last night, and it just totally jogged my memory. It was like, oh, they don't want to acknowledge he's in the group yet. They want to treat him with kid gloves. I think there's a respect level to his dad, Rey Mysterio. I think there is a respect level to Dom and everything he was asked to do, and now being asked to do something completely different. So they took their time. I thought it was weird to not acknowledge he was part of the group. Everybody knew he was. Obviously, now he's synonymous with the group. As much as anybody, as he should be. And now he's coming to his own, where the role he is playing now, there are varying levels of character confidence. Think about the story I just told you and think about how he's been used. He's been carrying or right in the middle of a major story every single week, multiple segments, in the ring, backstage, you name it. He's right in the middle of that. He'll be right in the middle of that at SummerSlam. I don't think his custody will be on the line, which is a bummer. But he's right in the middle of it, and he's handling it well. I've said I've not been a huge fan of Liv being the world champ and the title being a background player. That is separate from the fact that Dom has done a great job in the role and has done a great job for his entire heel run. I know the heat he got in Mexico this weekend was tremendous. He got a win over his dad. He got a victory over his dad last week. And I'm interested to see where he's at in a few years. He's playing the role he needs to play right now in a major storyline and doing it well. Dom also, I believe, last year had the most matches of anybody in the company, which is good for two reasons. One, yeah, he needs the reps too. This is my entire argument with everybody in NXT. If you're young and up and coming and they see something in you, well, the only way you're going to get better is to work. That's what Dom did. He works a ton. He's gotten better. He is not the pushover I think he was presented as when he first started the feud with Seth. And the stuff with, Buddy Matthews and all that stuff. He's credible. Way more credible now. I don't think he's going to be a world champ or anything like that without a ton of help, but he's certainly more credible in the ring than he was initially. And that's because he worked a bunch and he was around the right people. And everybody he's working is got more experience than him for the most part. That went a long way. I think the story is better with Rhea around. I'm glad the world title's back in the mix. Now, PW Insider, and I think it was Mike Johnson, reported that it doesn't appear that Rhea's fully cleared yet. So there was no physicality last night. There was no physicality last week. Liv hightailed it out of there last night. She was, via satellite, backstage, whatever, pre-tape. She wasn't out there with Rhea. No physicality. We got a few weeks to go. Not a lot of time. SummerSlam's early this year. So that will be telling when we see her get physical. Because if someone deserves in storyline to get physical, it's Rhea. She's pissed. So we'll see how much they can book around that between now and SummerSlam. But sounds like she'll be ready to go. Mike Johnson reported that there was initial creative that talked about her coming back at SummerSlam or her coming back the day after. Apparently she said, I'll be good to go by then. Let's do it. And you know what? She wanted to be on one of the biggest shows of the year, especially at this time. I get it. Hopefully she's not pushing it. And I think something to keep an eye on in the coming weeks is her physicality. Does she work any house shows, live events, whatever the hell you want to call them? Those are things to keep an eye on when it comes to Liv and Rhea and that match and where it's going. I think they'll get more than one out of it because I would assume that Dom will side with Liv just because Rhea can't be a babyface with Dom. It just can't work that way. Back to Priest and Gunther. We'll jump on this a little bit. And I see a couple of the people mention, I said, Jeroy, I said the same thing. They're technically even. They are. Unless Liv takes Dom, and then they're not. Priest and Gunther, I talked about a little bit. I mean, I think Liv Rhea feels bigger. I think Punk and Drew, when it gets booked, is bigger. I obviously think Cody and Solo will be a bigger deal. It doesn't feel like a SummerSlam world title match. It feels like Shinsuke and Jinder. That's what that feels like. Middle of the card. Not a big deal. Hey, this is Matt Camp. Thanks for checking out one of our recent clips from the Wrestling Mat. Why is someone so close to The Rock kind of throwing Cody under the bus?
Yeah, a lot of people won't engage with Jim Cornette. I did, just because I have a mark for Jim Cornette. And
Please subscribe right now. Hit the like and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. And I think you should listen to your TV partners. Let me tell you about WWE and a little insight. More subscribers means more content. And make sure you follow us on social media at WrestlingMat23 on both Twitter and Instagram.